Hello Reborners, my name is Karen and this is Making Reborn Dolls with Karen. We're back with little Maggie. She looks like this now. Her head's getting a little bit misshapen, but that's okay, she's almost done. Her rim's just a little bit crooked. It'll straighten out when we put her on her body. But she looks good, I think. And she's going to be a pretty baby. We only have one more color to go and she's looking really, really good. And since I skipped putting the second coat of warm blush on her legs, they're starting to look a little more like her arms. They're getting closer in color, see? So we're gonna get there and she's gonna look pretty good. I just love her little hands. They're so cute. Anyway, I wanted to tell y'all, today is Saturday, October the 11th, 2025. So if you're watching this in the future, this announcement will not be good for you. But Bountiful Baby just posted some doll heads. You don't get to pick which one you get, and they might be seconds or thirds in quality, but they're for technique test pieces or a practice kit. It's just the head, but they're only like, I think $3 or something like that. They're very, very cheap. And you can afford to get 3 or 4 of them, maybe even 5, and practice reborning them, practice putting eyes in, practice rooting hair, whatever you need to practice on, or just use them for practice on techniques that you want to do in the future. But if you're a brand new artist and you want to practice reborning, this is a great opportunity, I think. These heads were not, probably most of them didn't even pass enough to be seconds. So making a baby from it would probably not be feasible, but actually just using it for a practice doll head would be great. You could practice all your techniques, and the head is the part that you do most of the techniques on. So it would be beneficial for, I think, new artists to reborn a few heads. And if you're wanting to learn how to root, great opportunity for that too. You just do them like you do a regular kit. You know, seal them, paint them, whatever, root them, whatever, you know. If you don't want to root them, you can strip them and do them over again. Which is what I used to always do with my kits until they just wouldn't work anymore. Eventually, they just won't work anymore. They'll just bust open or something. Because too much acetone on them will eventually just eat through the vinyl. But, you know, you can do it 5, 6, 7, 8 times probably before all that happens. But anyway, I just wanted to tell y'all that because it's a great opportunity to grab a few heads so you can practice your art. I also wanted to show you my cute little aspen and leaf kits I've been working on. In my meantime, working on Maggie. Here's a little leaf. They're getting ready to get their hair here very shortly. And here's a little aspen. I used the sleeping aspen kit. They now have her sleeping and awake. And I'm not real fond of her awake kit, so I did her sleeping kit. It's very, very cute, I think. But anyway, we're going to get started on Maggie. And we're going to give her her last color, which is blush. Yeah, I'm trying to finish up. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and just put this on her, probably just one coat. I'm not sure for sure, but I'm pretty sure. Hurry up and get it done, so it's getting kind of late and I'm getting kind of sleepy. And so well, I seem to be scatterbrained. Here we go. Oh, crap. My paintbrushes are behind my camera. Load up our... You having cobbler?
It's ice cold.
Yeah, it needs to be a little warm. I made a peach cobbler today. It's really, really good too. And my sister's having some. I may have some after this. Anyway, we're going to paint this on her face very genteelly. Get her nice and colored up so she can be ready for her hair as well. I'm about to be done rooting the dolls that I had up there. At one time, I was 7 dolls behind, and I just sort of slowed down in doll making. I didn't stop or anything, but, you know, I've been waiting for the videos to load before I do the next segment. So all of Maggie's is loaded except this one I'm doing right now. As I'm doing this one, they're loaded. And this one will load during the night while I'm sleeping, I guess. And in the morning, it should be loaded, and her series will be finished. And she will go up for hair when she comes out of the oven. Well, I have to put her glue on to her rims and her lips and her nails and stuff first. But that's the way I usually do it. I just, you know, after they come out from their last bake and they're cool, I go on and put their glue on in about, I don't know, I leave them sometimes overnight, sometimes a couple of hours. The glue will be dry enough in a couple of hours that I could actually start rooting her if I wanted to. But I have plenty of heads ahead of her, so she'll have time to sit and be getting her glue all dry and having a chance for it to cure and everything before she ever gets anywhere near being ready to put together. Since it's Saturday, that means, you know, tomorrow is Sunday, and I'm out. Well, I'm not out of dolls that I could reborn, but all the ones I started are going to be finished. Some of the ones that I was rooting are done being rooted. So tomorrow is usually my sealing day. I'll seal 4 or 5 dolls, and I'll start baking them in my spare time. And whenever they are all sealed, I put them back in their bags and put them in this box under my table. And then when I'm ready for a doll, I just pull one out and it's ready to go. Boy, her head's really getting misshapen. I'm going to need to really, really pull on that when I pull it down when I start putting her body on so that it doesn't look crooked. It's going to look so crooked if I don't. But I'll be able to. No big deal. I know she fell over in the oven, and I don't like it when that happens. I sit them up on their rims so that there's more room for the limbs to spread out in the oven. But she fell over, and she was kind of stuck to one of her limbs, and I had to pull them apart, and I don't like that. Sometimes it can pull paint off, but it didn't, so I was lucky. It was only barely touching, so I was glad of that. We have to sometimes make do with whatever happens, whatever our circumstances are. And sometimes they're not what we want. They're just what we get. Sometimes there's struggles in making dolls. We might struggle, like the other day, I was struggling getting the eyes in a doll. Was it Gabriel or was it Logan? I can't remember. One of them I was struggling real bad getting the eyes in, and the other one I got them right in. But sometimes that's what happens. We just struggle, and we have to face those struggles to get our babies done. And I have had struggles with other things as well. I sometimes struggle with tipping the nails because my hands are so shaky. I sometimes struggle with the hair. But, you know, the hair can be pulled out if you don't like the way it looks. If you're not, you don't just keep on rooting if you don't like it. Like, for example, when you're rooting the hairline, if you're getting too close to the forehead, just stop. Pull those hairs out, start again. If you're getting too many in the hull, stop, pull a few out, begin again. It's just that simple. But I'm really excited about these new heads that they've got. I don't need a practice kit. I hardly ever practice anymore, but I was excited that some of y'all would be able to get a practice kit. Well, a practice head, rather. And such an extremely great price. They just don't ever have things like that cheap. They used to have a technique limb. And limbs aren't as good for techniques as heads are. Yes, you have to paint nails and stuff like that, but it's not that hard. And so the face is probably the hardest part on a doll that you're going to do. That's where you put most of your little enhancements and stuff and undertones and stuff. And so you need to practice those things. And my advice would be get as many as you can afford, especially if you're a brand new artist or you're wanting to do new techniques that you don't want to mess up a good kit with. And I'm thinking about getting 2 or 3 of them myself, just so I don't have to use one of my kits as one. That's what I usually do, is I'll make one of my kits into a practice kit. And I'll save the limbs to repurpose to another doll, and I'll just use the head usually. Because, well, you know, when I first started out, I'd use the whole kit. And then I'd strip it, and then I'd do it again, and then I'd do it again, and over again. And then when I thought, oh, I don't know if this doll can take another round of stripping, after I stripped it for the last time, I tried to reborn it and make it into a real baby. It didn't always work out. Lots of times the doll ended up splitting open because I waited too long. I went 1 round too far. And of course, back then I really didn't realize that putting them down into the acetone was what was really doing it. I really thought it was just reborning them too many times. And so I know now that you can only just wipe your dolls. You need to use a rag and wipe your dolls, or you might just be messing up a doll you only stripped 2 times. You know, if you put them down to soak in the acetone. But I've gotten to where if I want to test a color, I can usually tell wet if it's a color I'm going to be able to use. I don't even have to bake it on there. And it comes off real easy if you don't bake it. It just wipes right off. If you bake it, it's a little bit more. You might have to scrub it with a toothbrush or something, but you still can't soak them in the acetone. It's just not feasible to do that. It's going to eat through your vinyl. And it weakens the vinyl. Little by little, it weakens it. Now, see, that's starting to look more like a real baby's leg. It doesn't look so yellow anymore. See, red, yellow. That looks a lot better. This isn't an ideal doll. She's a Frankenstein doll because she's got all different parts, but that's okay. She's going to work out. We're going to tip her nails here in just a second. And then I'm going to use the rest of my video time, and I'm going to put the glue on Aspen and Leaf. They're just so cute. Their little limbs are so cute. I've tipped their nails. They've had their final bake already. So they're just going to get their glue. And then we're going to end the video. And I'm probably going to bed. I'll bake this doll in the morning. Probably. I don't know. I might stay up. You know, sometimes I just say I'm going to do one thing, and then I just can't seem to settle down. And so I just end up coming. I truly meant to do this in the morning, but I just couldn't settle down. So I ended up coming back to do it tonight. So sometimes I just have insomnia, and sometimes I can't turn my brain off. That's my problem. I have to take medication that turns my brain off so I can go to sleep. Literally, I can't turn my brain off. So that's got her painted again, and now we're going to tip her nails. I'm going to have to get a cleaner sponge because her legs still look way too splotchy to me. My sponges are starting to get a little bit dirty. When they're that dirty, sometimes they don't take all the stuff off they're supposed to take off. Now this one will only take a very little off, but it's enough that it needs to be done. See, it's just very little, but it's just too gloppy looking. And the further you go with dirty sponges, the globbier it's gonna look. So you have to go over them again. That little bit can make all the difference. Okay, there we go, Maggie. Her lips look fantastic. And we're going to tip her nails now. Is this the tip? It is. I'm gonna take one toothpick to mix it with. Get it all nice and mixed up. I did just use it on aspen and leaf, but it does separate. Even though this doesn't have hardly any, it doesn't even have paint thinner in it. It only has thinning medium. You can still see the oil from the paint coming to the top a little bit. Well, I see something else on her foot right there. It's a little too wet looking. Okay, I'm gonna start on the feet. They're the easiest for me. Just get a tiny bit on the tip. You just drops. Because we want to just scrape it across the edge of the nail. And when you first start doing this, you think, I'll never do this. But you know, the very first time I did it, I just did it and it just worked. And I was really surprised, considering it was my very first time, on how well I did. And I got a few compliments from viewers saying, wow, that was your first time? I can't believe it, you know, that kind of thing. And it was my first time. And it's a little bit hard, but it's not as hard as you might think it is. If it's too thin, it just doesn't show after the bake very well. If it's too thick, of course, it just looks funky. So there's a happy medium there somewhere. You just have to figure it out. And I think I probably went a little too thick on my first doll. And maybe on some of my other dolls after that, I went a little too thin. Sometimes I have a little skippy area in there where it doesn't look like it's covering good, like right now. Because it's actually on the toe, not on the nail. So what you want to do is just get right on the edge of that nail and just scrape it across. Kind of like that. I don't know if you can even see that. I can't tell if I'm holding it at the right angle. I can't really see that well on the camera what you're seeing because it's further away from me. And the feet are usually a little bit easier because you can usually put them down on the table like this to keep them steady, and prop your arm on the table to keep it a little steady. Not so easy with the fingers though, because they're just all bent up in different configurations usually. Sometimes I do a really, really good job at tipping the nails. And other times, not so much. They're kind of crooked and a little bit funny looking, but I'm still learning this. This is brand new to me. For most of my doll making career, I never tipped nails because I thought it was stupid. And like I said, when I got Presley, all that changed. I really liked his tip nails. He was the first doll I had with tip nails. I just thought the concept of tipping a doll's nails was ridiculous. Babies don't have tipped nails, but it's not really supposed to look like a tip on their nails so much as it's supposed to look like the part of their nail that's sticking over their finger. That's what it's really supposed to look like. If your hands are clean, mine are dirty. My nails are filthy because I've been doing dolls all day. But if you have clean hands and clean fingernails, the part of your nail that sticks over your finger looks whitish, kind of, clearish white. But that's what this is supposed to kind of represent, I think. And I don't know. People like it, I think. I haven't really heard anybody say, hey, is your doll's nails tipped? I've never had anybody ask that, but I usually try to take pictures of it if they have tipped nails so they can just see that they're tipped. You know, I usually take pictures of the hands, especially when they have cute hands like these. These are adorable hands. And I want people to see how cute they are, and so I take pictures of them. And if they have tip nails, all the better. Now, I can't put the glue on this doll yet because she hasn't baked. It will crack up that Eileen's paper glaze. Great place to get your Eileen's paper glaze is Bountiful Baby, but wait until they're having a sale. Sometimes they'll just put certain items on sale, like paint, or sometimes they'll just have a site-wide sale. And both of those times are great times to get all your supply-like things that are too expensive to buy otherwise. That Eileen's paper glaze is about, even at $7.95 or whatever it is, it's still cheaper than using rings. And you need it anyway to gloss the lips and the nails. So I use it. But when it's on sale, you can get it for $3 to $4. And that's way, way better price than the usual price. So I look for a sale. I'm always looking for a sale and a bargain. And they've got bodies on sale right now. They've got the 19-inch body. I think it's 11 something instead of 20 something. To me, it's a good buy. Now, recently they had them on for like $5 and something, and I bought about 20 of them. But I'm about to use them up. They go fast. And believe it or not, they go real fast. But anyway, I'm going to get the glue on these dolls real quick. This is just a very, very easy process. Where's my glue? There it is. I have to actually label my glue. Clear glue. Otherwise, it looks too much like the sealer through the jar. I got these to put the heads on because, well, you don't want the heads to touch anything after you get the glue on. And we're going to need a throwaway paintbrush. And I need to get my wheel out of that rut on the floor. Ugh, I just hate this floor. Okay, I've got all the arms and legs up here on the drying rack. Now, this is a time when you really have to put your doll on the drying rack. Now, you could lay this down. This one would lay down because the rim is not touching the table and none of the toes are touching the table either. But just to be on the safe side, I like to put them all on the drying rack. That way, I know they're not going to stick to anything. So, I just pour my Eileen's paper glaze into this jar because it's a lot easier to get it out than it is to get it out of this skinny little bottle where you can't tell how far down the glue is. I've got this one turned upside down so the rest of the glue will run to the top and I can pour it in here. But when you're sticking your brush down in there, you don't know how far down the glue is, and before you know it, you've got glue up to here, and that's just a waste. So I just put it in this little jar, and I just keep filling it. I don't fill it till it's gone, though, because it starts to get thick. This is already starting to get thick. It still works, but it's very runny when you first pour it in there. And the more you open it and use it, the thicker it gets. And so I use up all the thick before I put any more thin in there, because I don't want to mix it together and have it going bad before it needs to. The fresh glue goes in by itself, but I just put it all around this little rim, all the way around. And you don't have to be super sparing with it. It's very cheap to use. Then I put it on this rim, this bigger rim here, this part right here, because that's going to be up against cloth too. And believe it or not, this rim is not that slick, and it kind of drags and catches and onto the body. So we want it to be very slick, and this is very slick glue. And when it dries, it's shiny and slick. And then I'm putting it on this rim too, because I want it to slide very, very good. I don't want any of these jaggedy pieces where they trim the vinyl to see, there's little jaggedy pieces sticking up right there that can catch on the body. But if they have glue over them, they're just slick. Now I'm going to do the nails. And you don't have to have much on your brush to do the nails. Very tiny bits, because the nails are super tiny. We want them to be shiny, and we want them to be protected. So there's that one. Just put it back on its peg here, and we'll get the next one. And we're going to do it the same way. And when we do the heads, we're going to put them on these little empty tape rolls. That's what I save them for. They have multi-purposes, these little empty tape rolls. I just put some up here to divide my paint sponges from each other, so I don't have to search for the colors that I want. I was trying to figure out a way to separate my paint sponges, because I just usually throw them in this bin and they're all mixed up, and I'm going, okay, where's the red ones? Now where's the 05 ones, like that. And so I just decided, okay, I'll just put these 3 little rolls in there, and I'll put them inside the little rolls, and then they'll just be separated. So, okay. I was going to buy something to put them in. I go, I think I can come up with something without buying some. Now, I do buy things that make reborning easier, like these throwaway paint brushes. Yeah, you could use something else, but I don't know what it would be. I did a few times use a swab, but the problem is little fibers from the swab get on your doll, and then they're stuck in the glue. So these are better. And then you just throw them out. You don't have to wash them. At one point, I was washing them in the sink, and that's a pain. I don't like doing that. And if you're using any other kind of glue, this glue claims that if you wash it up before it dries, soap and water will take it off. Okay. I didn't have that much luck with it. It took a lot of soap and water, and lots of running underwater, and lots of soap, and it was just not worth it to me. By the time you use that much soap, you done bought another paintbrush you could have thrown away. So anyway, I just decided one day when I was going through Walmart, I saw these brushes, and of course they reminded me of kindergarten. In kindergarten, we used to get these little watercolors. I know I've told this story a million times, but some people are watching this video for the first time, so I'm gonna tell it again. And they'd give us a paintbrush like this to paint with. And well, watercolors wash out real easy because they're just watery. They're almost like colored water, really. And they're so thin, there's no color hardly to them at all. But I remember using these kind of paintbrushes in kindergarten. And I thought, oh my, they have those? I didn't even think they made them anymore. And they were real cheap. And you get like, I don't know, 30 or 50 of them. And they're like $1.50. They're real cheap. And so I bought a pack, and it was like a lifesaver. So I just been buying them. They don't always have them. Sometimes they're out. So when they do have them, I get 3 or 4 packs, because heaven knows they're only $1.50. And you could certainly afford 3 or 4 packs at one time. So that's what I do. I get 3 or 4 packs. And by getting this glue on tonight, it'll be dry tomorrow. And I can take them off the pegs, because tomorrow I'm going to be trying to seal some dolls. I might do a video on sealing dolls. It's so much fun. It's not boring at all. It's really boring, actually. It's almost like painting, except you're using the same thing on everything. You're just putting sealer all over your doll kits. But we wash them first, and we seal them. We put them on the drying rack, and I need these off the drying rack tomorrow, so that's why I'm doing them tonight. And then we let them sit for a while, at least most of the day. Tomorrow evening I could start baking them. but sometimes I leave them till the next day. And if you do them while they're too wet, whatever you're coating the inside of your oven with, they will stick to that. I don't care what it is, it'll stick. And then you'll have to peel them off and hope you don't have a bunch of fibers on there that you have to pick off with toothpicks. I mean, tweezers. So it's best to let them dry a bit. It's totally worth it. A lot of the things I'm telling you, a lot of people don't do it. My niece never wanted to wait. She put the glue on. She just put the doll together. She had a lot of problems with it sticking and stuff. And so I told her, I said, you know what? Some of the stuff I'm telling you is really worth it. It's worth the wait. My dolls usually have at least a week between the time I put the glue on and the time I put them together. Monday is put together day. Aspen and Leaf will not be put together on Monday. Neither will Maggie. For one thing, they won't have their hair yet. And it is just hard. I've done it before, but it is hard to root a doll put together. You can't turn the head very well. You have to turn the entire doll, and it's just bulky and in the way. So I don't advise it. Anyway, these dolls will not be ready enough. Even if they had their hair and this was the last step, I still would not put them together on Monday because I just put the glue on Saturday. So I will be putting the glue on. I'll be rooting them sometime during the week, and the following Monday they will get put together. So see, that'll be over a week, which is fine because I'm way behind on rooting anyway. I just really like the reborning process the most. I don't like putting them together. I don't even like doing this part. I really like the painting the best. And so I have to do this, so I just do it, but it's not fun. I don't like sealing. That's why I seal. While I have the sealer out, it's messy. I don't want to get it out again for a few days, so I'll seal a bunch of kits at one time. That way I don't have to get it out again for a while. And I've been sealing, I don't know, 4 or 5 kits at a time at least. I have enough room on my 2 drying racks. It was 1 and I had it cut in half. But I have enough room on the 2 of them together to put 4 dolls. And I did that on purpose because I thought, well, sometimes you have a doll that's sealed, sometimes you have a doll that's wet, sometimes you have a doll you just want to get up off the table that's partially painted and you just want it out of the way. Whatever. You have enough room for all those things. And so, and I made mine just by going and getting a board, having some holes drilled in it, and putting some dowels, gluing the dowels. Glue the dowels. They'll fall out if you don't. Just get you some wood glue. Don't drill the hole all the way through. Just most of the way through. Leave a little, like, piece at the bottom so the glue won't come through the bottom and glue your drying rack to the table. That wood glue really holds. And I didn't paint mine or nothing. I didn't want to risk any sort of paint or anything coming off on my dolls. So I just left it au naturel. Now you can buy little wooden drying racks, but they're crowded. I saw one and it was $25, I think, or $28. And it only had 5 pegs, 1 for the head and 1 for each limb. And it was very short, and it looked to me like if you had a head on the head part, the peg that was for the head, and you had limbs on the limb pegs, that the head would touch the limbs. It was so short. And not only that, they were super close together. I think mine are too close together, but I spaced them the amount I thought I needed. If I could go back and do it over, which I'm not going to, I would make them a little further apart. But long story short, I put my pegs up really high for my heads because I didn't want any head up on there to touch any limb that was down on the bottom. I don't want my pieces touching each other. They still do a little bit, but not if you turn them the right way on the pegs. They won't touch. But the drying rack is good for everything except cooling your doll off. I put my doll on the drying rack one time. It was hot. And you know, when you put it on there, the peg only goes up so far, like say it goes up to the elbow, and then the soft, hot doll is pressing down again. It'll make a little dimple there where it's pressing up on your doll. Not a good idea. Don't put your hot dolls on there. And I never could get that dimple out. I don't care what I did. Did not come out. And it just looked funny. I mean, I still made the doll. Oh, I don't need any more of that. Gotta do these fingers now. Don't want so much on there for fingers. If you can't get to the fingers, you gotta bend the hand back like that, because you don't want to get it all over the hand. I mean, you could. Not only does this protect and shine the nails, it's supposed to make certain parts of the doll look wet, like around their mouth where they would, you know, maybe have some saliva coming out of their mouth. You know, babies drool. And, well, I had a bubbler. One of mine bubbled. Made little bubbles. It was weird. Weird. Now we're going to do the rim on the head. This is Aspen. Aspen and Leaf are Reborn twins. The date on their rim is very small. 2019. I'm assuming that's when they were born and not when they were molded. I noticed that some of the dolls were not molded out for quite a while after they were photographed. I don't know if that's their production date. I could look Aspen up and see. Aspen and Leaf, girl and boy twins. Little Leaf died. I didn't even know it. I remember some while back, I thought, I wonder why they have some dolls in awake and asleep versions, and some dolls only awake, and some dolls only asleep. And I wanted to see an Aspen and a Leaf. Aspen has always been the awake doll, and Leaf has always been the sleeping doll. Well, they never published the story about Leaf dying until after this particular incident happened. I messaged Bountiful Baby and I said, why have you never made an Aspen sleeping and a Leaf awake? Next thing you know, there's an Aspen sleeping, but no Leaf awake. And I thought, well, at least they made Aspen sleeping. She looks better sleeping than she did awake. And then they published the story that Aspen and Leaf, after they were photographed 2 months later, before they even made the kits, Leaf died. I don't know what he died from. I suspect it was some sort of a heart condition. A lot of twin babies, that happens. One baby will have some sort of a heart condition. Anyway, I'm just guessing. I don't really know. Maybe it was sudden infant death. Who knows? I don't really know. But they asked his mother, do you want us to go ahead with the production of his kit or not? We want to respect your wishes. And I think either the mother or the father was their daughter or son, because they have it advertised that Aspen and Leaf were the grandchildren of the owners. So she said, one of the things that bothered me the most about losing my poor little son was that he would be forgotten. And the fact that they're going to produce a doll of him, he'll go all over the world, everybody will see him, he won't be forgotten. So she wanted them to go ahead with the production. But she probably stipulated only a sleeping version. I don't know. I'm only guessing. But I'm sure they wanted to, respect her wishes. That was her little sweet baby. He's so cute. Adorable, actually. They make just the most adorable little baby twins. And a lot of these little babies are related to the owners. They are grandchildren, nieces, cousins, all kinds of relationships like that. And then there's the people who are like married to their family members, their family, like it's the niece of the brother-in-law or something like that, and of the son-in-law, I mean, or a cousin's grandchild, something like that. They're somehow related. And then there's the employees, some of their kids, and friends of the employees, and family of the employees. Lots of people. And then they do also have some children who are no relation to them whatsoever or have any ties to Bountiful Baby whatsoever. They actually advertised one time that if you had a newborn, you could apply by sending pictures of the baby for them to review to see if they wanted to choose that baby for a doll. And they did say they were looking for babies with unique characteristics. I don't know what that means exactly, but I think Phineas and Harlow and some of the more distinctive dolls got chosen. They do have distinctive features, let's put it that way. But anyway, Aspen and Leaf are now ready to get dried up overnight and start getting their hair as soon as possible. I have one more doll in front of them, and then they're ready. And then Maggie will be next after that. And oh my goodness, I'll have... It's just a never-ending thing. I'm getting so sleepy. Anyway, I'm going to end the video. And Aspen and Leaf are so cute. I can't wait to see them finished. Anyway, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. And thank you for watching Maggie's segment. We'll start another baby probably tomorrow. So please like, subscribe, and share. And happy reborning.